So hello everybody, my name is Astros, and I just saw Iron Lung from Markiplier, and I wanted to make a little bit of a review. I'm gonna sound like Moist Critical here. I just have to do this because the movie was very interesting. I'm gonna use that word, and there's so much that I wanted to say, good and bad. Majority good. I think it was a good movie, and I think you should see it if you like Markiplier, and I think if you um, are a fan of horror movies, yeah, I think it's good. Now, I'm gonna start with the good first of all, and I literally like 20 minutes ago was in the theater and I just saw it, so I got like, I apologize if my structure of this video is all over the place. Like it's all in my head now, so I just gotta regurgitate it. So number one, all right, Mark, I did not know you were a good actor. Seriously, like me, myself, and I really respect good acting because I like acting. It's really fun to do it. So when I see someone who you would not expect to be good, it's pretty awesome. And he was pretty good. I mean, okay, there was a couple of times with the dialogue where I thought, that's a little unrealistic sounding, or it's a little bit funny, or sometimes where Mark would do a little bit of an over-exaggerated expression. And by the way, I forgot to mention this, goddamn. I am going to be spoiling this movie right now, so if you didn't see it, get out my video, bud. Go, pay your ticket, sit your ass in that theater, and watch it, come back, and let's talk. Now, back to it. Like for an example of what I mean by that corny little like dialogue sometimes was the time when he came back up to the surface and he was talking to, I think her name was Ava. I just found the way he was I just thought the dialogue was a little bit like, it sounded like a bit like a dub of an anime. Like it sounded like it wasn't the original language, but let me be clear. I think the movie's good. I've loved Markiplier's videos since I was so young. Like, come on, man. He's been around since I was capable of using YouTube. And the guy, like, what an amazing accomplishment, by the way. To go from sitting in, like, your mom's basement just playing some video games and screaming at the screen like a lunatic. And then I mean, it's been a long time. I think it's been, like, over at least, like, what, 13 years or something. I can't remember. But in that amount of time, now you're making your own blockbusters and it's beating everything else. And by the way, another reason why I wanted to see this movie in particular wasn't even because Mark made it. Wasn't even because it was a horror movie, which, by the way, if you know me, I freaking love horror movies. Absolutely. That's not all. When I heard that Hollywood was getting absolutely, like, pissed the fuck off because this guy was scoring way past all of the other movies in North America, I thought that was hilarious. I then saw that they pulled the movie off of the charts because it was literally off the charts. It was just funny to me. It's comical. It's like, oh, Hollywood, oh, our shitty movie that was worth like $50 million is getting destroyed by something that was worth $3. And Mark didn't even use a production company. He did it all himself, which is astronomically respectable. So I want to see it not only for that, but just to support him because I'm really happy that he did something different. He's showing that there's another meta to making movies. You don't just have to be, you know, this, like, dump a couple trillions on a film and hope it works, you know? There's a lot more you can do, and that's really awesome. Now, actually, I still got more good things to say, apart from the acting. The soundtrack, and you know, a lot of people don't pay attention to this stuff, especially in horror movies for some reason, but I have to mention it. I think it fits very well, and I think it did its job, and I liked it. Now, I'm not going to listen to it on Spotify like I may with like an Interstellar soundtrack from Hans Zimmer, but it did its job, and I think actually it did more than I wanted to do. I think it did very well with that. Next, let me think. What else did I like? Oh yes, let's go on that part. The atmosphere. Listen, Mark really does a great job at assessing the tone of the movie. Like, you know, for a couple of seconds, because Mark, multiple times in the movie, he just drops a couple F-bombs every so often, and it's a little bit funny, and a couple of people in my audience were chuckling or whatever. And it's like, oh God, I hope he's not trying to do like a semi-comedy. But he wasn't. It was just, they just loved Mark so much that any line that was remotely comedic, everyone was just like, but you know what I'm saying? Next. What was next? Oh my God. let's go on the graphics, VFX. I don't know how to do it very well. I use some kind of editing softwares, but I'm not completely aware on how to use everything. Now, I will say that for a guy, again, $3 million budget, and it did take him 3 years of his life, holy shit, that looked great. And here's the thing. You gotta have some mercy for this film. You can't be like, oh, it didn't look like Endgame, you know, the movie that had $250 million placed on it to make everything look good, you know? So when I saw the graphics and the VFX and all the little special things they did, I thought it was perfectly well done. Now, I'm also going to mention this part. Obviously, there were some things that I could see was like, okay, that's a little fake, but I don't care. I understood what they wanted. Like, I'm not actively looking for something that looks exactly like real life. It's a science fiction movie, for God's sakes. It's not going to look realistic. Now, what else? There's so much on my mind. I didn't write this down. I literally jumped into this room and started recording this after seeing the movie because I'm so hyped. I needed to talk about this. And I am a bit late to the party. Like, the movie has been out for a couple of days, but I don't care. I still want to drop this review so I can think about it later. Now, what's next? What's next? What else do I like? Okay, I got it. How do I put this? Every character who we only get really, there's only really 2, but there's a couple more. They all have such a personality. Like, I can feel the love that this movie had. I can feel the 3 years of, you know, blood, sweat, and tears. And I mean blood in a very literal sense. That went into this movie. Because, by the way, holy shit, if you got like a phobia of seeing a lot of blood, or you're claustrophobic, this movie is going to rock your world, alright? I don't know how many gallons of blood. You can see Markiplier put a video out that he showed how much there was, but my god, that shit was... like, my shirt that I'm wearing right now, this shit was white before I went into that theater. Anyways, okay, I'm gonna move on to my negatives. Now, keep in mind, again, that I think the movie is good. I'm just saying this as in my personal feedback. I think that could have been doable. Alright? And by the way, I also have a segment of this video that I want to do that's totally nitpicking, and I'm just being a little bitch. That part, that's just my little notes. Mark, if he sees that part, ignore it. It's just what I thought. Now, the negatives that I think could have been a little bit tweaked out. Again, the dialogue at some points kind of catches me, it kind of pulls me out. Some of it's a little bit, it just doesn't seem like a real person would be talking like this to me. And the best example I can give, again, it's just that one scene when he's back on the surface and he's talking to the girl through the window and he's like, you know, you gotta get me out, or I can't remember everything he said, but it was something on the lines of like, you know, get me out. We had a deal, you know, it's not worth it. It's just not, it didn't sound exactly realistic. But you know what? What can you ask for? I understood what they wanted to do, and that scene moved on pretty quick, so I kind of forgot about it. It doesn't matter. Now, number 2, what else do I want to say? Okay. This one is probably the major, like, thing with the movie that everyone who had problems with it will have. By the way, if you look at movies, can I just, random side note, if you go to movies and you look at the Rotten Tomatoes score and immediately you judge if you're going to see the movie by the score on Rotten Tomatoes, no. Don't ever do that again. Because the critics who have no clue who the hell Mark is, they're a little bit, you know, they're just rating the movie as a movie. And then the fans who actually know the game, by the way, the game that the movie is based off of, and they know who Mark is, I think they honestly have a better opinion. Again, watch your movies, but don't completely rely. Like, you can look at Rotten Tomato ratings, but don't be like, oh fuck, it got like a 60. Not gonna watch it. Don't do that. That being said, if both sides are saying it's terrible, it might be. It's not that though. So yeah, this is the biggest problem. The movie is long, and I don't know how much of it is necessary. 2-hour film. me personally, over the past couple of years, I've noticed how movies are getting longer and longer. I don't like that. I like movies that are condensed. If you can tell your story and really make me enjoy it in a condensed formula, you did better than the guy who can tell me the same thing, but it's 3 hours long. That's just how I think. The movie was 2. I think in the beginning and a little bit of the middle half of the film, particularly when Mark starts hallucinating, like his mind's completely left the station. You know, he's like thinking like he's like getting spoken to, but I'm assuming, is that God? Some kind of superior figure is speaking to him through his head, and then the dead person from the other submarine that he finds is also talking to him. That part is just like losing it, and I understand what they're doing. They want us to feel that, like, oh my God, he's losing it. He's falling off the rails. There's trauma. He's getting destroyed. Like, I get what they're trying to do with it, but a lot of it was just kind of a waste of time. I'm not gonna lie. Another thing, there's so many just like pauses, like just random. I think what they were trying to give a tone of like isolation and loneliness in the Iron Lung in the submarine. And because there's so much of this film where it's like Mark is kind of just like for an example, right? He's kind of figuring out, all right, so he's looking at the manual and he's like, okay, so this is how I control my submarine, this is how I steer, and this is how I drive, and this is how I do everything I need to do. But it's like so long. Like, he'll just spend like a second flipping the page and we'll see what it says, and he's looking at it, he's like okay, he closes it and he's like, he looks around, and then he looks at his hands, and then he puts his hands on the gear, and he starts going. He's like, starts going. It's like, I get it. I get what they're trying to do. It's like, it's slow, it's awkward, it's isolated, it's lonely. But there's so many times that they do this where it's like, I'm kind of like, okay, next slide. Like, again, I loved Markiplier as a child. I like the movie. I think it's great. I think it's awesome. But again, it's not flawless. There are parts that can be fixed. So yeah, I think at least, I'm not gonna lie, I think at least 10, 15, maybe 20, that's a bit much. That amount could have been totally sliced from the movie. That is the main argument I think all the critics had. And now I see where they're coming from, because I did hear that before I saw the movie. I didn't spoil it for myself, but I did hear that. Now, what else? What else did I have a problem with? Oh, yeah. I feel like there was a lot of plot points that was just not touched upon. Maybe I'm dumb as shit. Maybe you guys, please, by all means, if you have a problem with what I'm saying, or you think I'm saying something that is blatantly not true, because maybe I missed it, you know? By the way, my theater was packed, and I'm kind of like easily like distracted, so maybe I was looking the wrong way, all right? And the scene that explains my problem was there, but I don't know. There wasn't enough of an explanation. Where the hell did, like, I understand where the necklace came from that Mark ties up on his wrist with that little thing, that little circular thing. What is the symbol? What is that? How does he know who that is? Or like, what's the meaning of it? Like, I get it. It's like a person who was there before, but is that it? It's like, he felt like he knew whoever owned that thing personally. I don't get it. Number 2, another thing that wasn't really explained enough. Why is Mark a convict? I feel like they should have expanded upon the original game's lore. You know? Like, just put some more depth into it, because the original game, it's good, and it doesn't really touch far on like what led up to this, and I think that would have been awesome. I think I would have loved to see like how, or just give me an explanation, not even like show me, why did civilization get so destroyed? How did we make it to this point in the world where we're able to, like, you know, go to random moons and shit? How did the moon get discovered? Or here's another one. I just want to know things. Or like, why does Ava have a giant scar on her eye? You know, like, just random things are just not explained. Maybe it's because they want to do a sequel. No, they would never do a sequel for this. You can't. So I don't really know why. I want to know why, though, and I probably never will. And that sucks, but whatever. That's just my opinion. Again, remember, my opinion. Don't kill me for this. If you're like a diehard Markiplier fan, you're probably already, getting your axe ready to chop my head off. But, sorry. Now, I'm going to move on to the absolutely bitch, stupid points that I want to make for myself. You, the viewer, can listen to this, but take this with an enormous bottle of grain of salt, bag of salt, freaking block of salt, alright? This is just my nitpicks. Number one, and I totally got this, by the way, and I know right now no one really likes Quentin Tarantino because of the comments he made about Paul Dano, but I really liked Quentin Tarantino for a long time. And I got this line from him, and I agree with it completely. And I'll tell you right now, I kind of sound like I'm just listening to whatever he says, but listen. I also agree, and I understand where he's coming from. I like movies that tell stories, not situations. This movie is telling a situation. It is. Totally. It's like another example is like Speed, with Keanu Reeves. Like, that is a situation. That is a guy who is stuck on a bus and he's gotta get out. That is a kind of movie where you're gonna go there, you're gonna watch it, and you're gonna feel the tension, you're gonna feel the stress and the pressure, and it's gonna feel really awesome while you're watching it. But the second it's over and everything's solved and done, you're kind of like, oh, all right. Meanwhile, if you tell me a story and it has depth, it has symbolism, it has meaning, and ask questions for the audience, rhetorical questions, I mean, that's gonna make you, when you leave that movie, you're gonna be like, wow, and you'll think about it the days after watching it, and I think that's what makes a good movie. Now, that being said, not every movie has to do that. I'm not going to a freaking, comedy, and then I need to, start, questioning the philosophy of life. Obviously not for that. For the kind of movie that this is, they could have done something like that, They could have added some extra, storytelling to this, but they chose not to, and the entire film is filmed in that submarine, which is a bold move, and it worked well. They did it well. And I loved the practical effects. I loved learning that the entire submarine was a real, actual thing that Mark was inside of, getting thrown around. I think that's very funny and very cool. Now, another nitpick of mine. Do I have any more? I think that might have been... Oh, yeah. Here's to give you an example of how to make a situational movie like a storytelling movie. And this is, kind of bad because, it's the biggest movie I think ever made or whatever. Titanic. James Cameron could have totally made a situational movie, But the people on the boat sinks, try to survive. Maybe they get out, maybe they don't. That's an easy get out situation. Very simple way to make that movie. But what did James Cameron do? Instead, he inserted two lover characters, one, poor guy, rich girl, and they added a sense of romance and storytelling, and it added more to the film. That's how you could have done it. They could have added more. They could have given more of a backstory to Mark, or Ava, or more other characters, But they chose not to. Now, rest that aside, the actually other thing I forgot that was positive that I wanted to say, oh man, the makeup they did to Mark near the end of that movie, holy shit, it was getting real fucking scary near the end. I mean, he was drowning in blood, God, I feel like that's disgusting. I'm just automatically thinking of Bill Gates getting an STD, but, it's just sorry, I just had to put that in there. Yeah. It was great. It was really grotesque, and I'm kind of a freak sometimes. I like gory films. I play Dead by Daylight. I like watching shit get blown up and people getting, sliced apart if, it's funny. Not genuinely get hurt. I'm not like a psychopath, but you know what I mean, right? It was pretty cool to see that. And the ending is left on a cliffhanger, but I like what they did. I'm assuming, my theory, and, I guess there really isn't that many that you can make. Mark dies, but he contains the information and saves it, and it is retrieved, and there's hope for humanity and possibly civilization. extends beyond the last couple of years I guess they had to live. And I guess in the end you could consider that a good ending. But Mark fucking dies, so maybe not. At the end of the day, if I was to give it a percentage mark, now I feel like an absolute loser teacher. Let's see. I would say the movie's got to be like something like a 75 at least, or somewhere there. Great movie. I think if Markiplier ever makes another one, he should definitely do it. But I think he should listen to the feedback that some people have given him, like me. Will he listen to me though? Hell no. But I think there is room for improvement, but he did well. And you gotta give mercy. You know, independent movie makers, when I see that, I give some mercy. You know, I'm not expecting to be good. Like, I'm not expecting it to be overly, like, on par with things that are, like, super, like, tons of millions of dollars poured into them. Like, I'll tell you something. When I got into that theater, everyone had such a positive mood. And, unfortunately, near the end, there was a little bit of doubt, I could tell. And I kind of sat there for a little bit in the theater, and this kid who's a couple of rows ahead of me, he's with his friends, he gets up, and he goes, listen, I am never watching a Markiplier movie again. And when he said that, I was like, dude, you don't get it. Like, the kid, the poor guy, and he's like my age, by the way, I don't know why I'm calling him a kid, but he doesn't get it. He didn't give the movie mercy. Yes, there are other movies that are like it, and there are other movies that are better than Iron Lung. Still, I respect what Mark has put in. Will I ever watch Iron Lung again? Yeah, sure. If I'm bored one day, I'll probably put that on again if I have the chance to. I think it was well done. Now, that being said, I'll also say this, and I'm assuming this is because of the way that Mark chose to handle distribution, which again, I respect him literally. I'm pretty sure basically just did it out of pocket, right? Like, who the hell has ever done that? We'll probably never see that again. This is generational, like, he's a trailblazer, Markiplier, you know? But to be honest with you, if someone was to make this movie again, I would hope that they would have, if he was to make the movie again, I mean, I honestly think he should have gone with a distributor, because in at least my theater and theaters around me, because I tried to find another one that gave me the other options, I was only able to get regular viewing of the movie. You know, I couldn't see like the, what do you call it? Like the special like audio, or D-Box, which is, I think would have fit so well with this movie. D-Box, which is when the chairs move with the things that are going on the screen. And I can't remember, but there's like the special audio where the audio sounds really big, bassy, and it's like really stereo. Sounds great. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm very like spoiled when it comes to movies. Whenever I go to the theaters, I don't think I can remember a time that I've actually gone to see a regular film. So this is one of my first times, and I do have seen them before, but to be honest with you, I forgot how quiet regular films can sound. And I was like kind of unable to hear things. Like there was a couple of times where it was just inaudible. I'm not gonna lie to you. They like to use in that movie a lot. They like to use a lot of distortion effects for the characters who are talking on speakers. Like there are people who are on the surface and then they're transmitting their voice to Mark in the submarine, and they're like distorting it because, you know, whatever. But the effect was so great that I was kind of I couldn't hear them very well. And that affected me. It took me out the movie a little bit. It's not Mark's fault in the slightest. I respect him for trying to be independent. But see how that's so fucked up? If you don't go with Hollywood's ways, they just screw your movie, and then people can't enjoy it to the maximum. Like, this is stupid. But yeah, I wasn't able to get the cool audio or anything like that. That being said, I still enjoyed it. I keep on saying that just to reassure you guys, but I think you understand now. What is there anything else I want to say? No, I think that's it. Anyways, thank you for listening to this review. If you listened to the whole thing, appreciate that. I'll see y'all around. Still streaming. And, yeah, I don't know. Go see the film. And, hope you enjoy.